kind of in that same kind of notion with family, I know, and I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, like moving to a new country, just because you're in a new country doesn't mean that you stop being, who you are as far as your cultures and traditions. I mean, of course, there are some people that might try their best to kind of get away from that, but would just kind of love to know, are there any ways that you and your family have tried to kind of maintain some cultural aspects, especially with raising your son or anything like that so far?
Hmm. I would say personally, I am not like full blown traditional.
Okay.
I'm not full blown traditional, and I can be very malleable. Like I can be very dynamic. Let me say dynamic here. Dynamic is should be the word for it. I'm very dynamic. I want to fit in when it's really necessary to fit in. I want to make adjustments when it's really necessary to make adjustments. So I would not say that I have really found anything. First of all, nobody is stopping you from living the kind of life you want to live, raising the family where you want to raise. Nobody's really interfering in how you want to do your thing as a family. So, and Nigeria have different cultures, even though they are similar. I am Igbo. My wife is Ogoni from River State. So we have these differences in culture, slight difference. We have differences in culture. So what culture is my son going to adopt? What culture am I going to teach him?
Mm,
Except for the values, like okay, these are things we respect as a people, as a culture. And I'm also very intentional about knowing that it's not really about my culture per se or the mother's culture. It's about we as a family having our own culture, which will be a fusion of her culture, my culture, and a little bit of adjustments to fit it into what we have in a present day world and how we are able to adapt to whatever environment we find ourselves. So, in as much as I would love my son to speak Igbo, I would have loved him to speak Igbo, but how the, I don't I managed to speak Igbo to him, but I don't see him getting to understand to speak Igbo because the mom can't speak Igbo. Neither can she speak her own local dialect, Ogoni. So we end up speaking English at home, and English is like our lingua franca. Even though I would have loved him to speak Igbo really, but we can't do that. Then we have to cultivate the habit of praying as a family. There are no real organized communities of Nigerians, Igbos, like we have in other parts of the world.
right.
So it's just what we can do as a family.
And you said something perfect. I was actually going to ask you that next because I know, again, I don't know too much about Saudi Arabia, but I was
Mm.
assuming that maybe there's not a very big Nigerian diaspora there. But yeah, what you said is exactly spot on. I was thinking maybe if there's any organizations where you guys can join and maybe there's like function
Mm.
you can attend, but maybe you're not aware of that yet, or is there nothing like that?
Maybe I'm not aware of that yet, but I don't think there is. I don't know. Let me not say there is not, but I'm not aware of anyone, and I think that's because many persons who are living in Saudi Arabia are more like are more of expatriates than immigrants.
Okay.
So many persons who are moving to Saudi Arabia are moving to Saudi Arabia strictly for work.
Okay.
You're here to work. And at some point, you know that you're going to leave. It's not like you're going to some Western countries where you know, okay, after staying for a while, I may get permanent residence. Then I'm going to live here and raise my family, and we're going to be here forever. So the present um, atmosphere in Saudi Arabia is there are citizens and there are expatriates. So the expatriates are just coming here like for work, not like they're immigrating to remain here permanently. So even though there are the government is opening channels now for people to become to become citizens, so to become permanent residents, citizens, and all that. But it's just very new, and the processes are not very. No one really understands the process, and not a lot of persons have been able to go through that process. So most of the people who are living here are thinking at some point, if I stay here for 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, at some point I will have to leave. I am just here because of my job. Whenever the company does not need me anymore, I may have to leave. So people are making arrangements to leave. So I think in that atmosphere, you will not be thinking about having an association to, may not really be the biggest thing in anybody's mind, really. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't think of it in that way. So thanks for sharing that.